A lot of people will come to an event, they leave shortly thereafter and say that networking event sucked. The reality is, buddy, you sucked. If you're in business, you'd better be really good at networking because you don't have a choice. It is a people and contact game. I've been going to networking events for my entire professional career, and I've watched people come to these, and I've learned and observed the biggest mistake that I see people make in any sort of networking environment is that they make it all about them. Today, I want to give you a framework that I use for squeezing the most value and impact out of a networking event called OPS, O-P-S, opportunity, prospects, and stay in touch. All right, we are back for another episode of the LFG Society Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. It means a lot. And if you've been enjoying these episodes, please take screenshots of them and send them to me on Instagram or tag me in them when you post, because it helps me come up with more similar topics because clearly you're liking it. And also, guys, it helps other people. The power of sharing is really powerful, and that's why I created this podcast, was to have an impact and help others. So please continue to help me spread and share the love. And I am grateful to you guys for listening. All right, so today's topic is something that applies to all of us because everyone has to be social. And I'm not talking about social media. I'm talking about being social in the way of networking. Maybe it's required because of the college that you're going to. And there are social events and you are trying to maybe get into a fraternity or sorority, or you're trying to get into some special program that's being offered in the study of your major. Maybe you're in the corporate world and you need to start mixing and mingling with everyone there so that you can make a real impression. And if you're in business, you'd better be really good at networking because you don't have a choice. It is a people and contact game. So there are effective ways and completely ineffective ways to network. I've been going to networking events, whether they are happy hours or they're a little bit more structured or they're specific luncheons, for my entire professional career. And I've watched people come to these, and I've learned and observed and also adapted my own style. And today I want to give you a framework that I use for squeezing the most value and impact out of a networking event that you can attend, even if there was just 5 people there. Now, the framework is going to break down into my acronym called OPS, O-P-S. And I'll get into what those 3 stand for and how you can actually categorize everyone that you met at that networking event, because they fall into one of those 3 buckets. And that's gonna help you determine what your follow-up protocol is gonna be with all of those people. So stay with me here because I'm gonna walk you through it. But before we get to that part, I want to give you some context of how you need to carry yourself when you go to such an event. Now imagine, and maybe you've done these before, maybe you go to them quite actively, you'll see different kinds of people at any networking event. You'll see people that are clearly there for just the drinks because they need an excuse to be social or because they don't want to go home. Then there's others who come for the food because they're too cheap to go out and buy dinner and they just figure, I'll just graze on everything at this happy hour and I'll be full and I'll be good. And let's be honest, the food at these things is never that great. Then there's others who are there to clearly sell themselves. And this is not a good way to go into it, and I'm gonna touch on that. And then there'll be a few people that you can clearly see have a method. They are very calculated, they are very sincere, they are very present, and they seem to be getting a lot out of these events because every time you see them, they've got new and exciting news, or you're watching their business or their careers start to really take off as a result of networking effectively. Now, I call this all networking LFG style. And this is how I've been really adapting my networking style over the last 5 years. I can tell you, I made this shift and I want to share it all with you guys today. So the first thing is, when you go to any event, you need to come into it with the understanding that you must take off your jacket and stay a while. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people will come to an event, grab a drink, a glass of wine or a soda water, and kind of stand off to a corner. They're all dressed. Maybe they're coming into it with some ego or a little bit of discomfort or anxiety around being in front of so many people. And they just stand there. And because no one comes up to them, they leave shortly thereafter and say that networking event sucked. Well, the reality is, buddy, the networking event didn't suck. You sucked because you didn't take your jacket off and actually stay a while. You didn't put forth any kind of effort to sincerely be present and do what you came there to do, which was to meet people. And who are you to be this person that everyone has to come up to? Why can't it be the other way around? So that's my first bit of advice to everyone. Come into this knowing that you are gonna take off your jacket, roll up your sleeves, grab a drink, make some rounds, and shake some hands and get to meet some people and be excited about it. Next, and this is going to be really important advice here, is that you must make it all about them. The biggest mistake that I see people make in any sort of networking environment is that they make it all about them. They talk about me, this. And think of it, if you've gone on a first date, whether you're a guy or a gal, doesn't matter because it happens to both sexes, and you were on a first date and all this other person sitting across from you did was talk about themselves, almost like they were selling themselves to you. And after an hour of just hearing about all of their accomplishments and how great they are and how much everyone loves them, you're thinking to yourself as you sip that cocktail to try and distract yourself or act busy or to keep yourself busy, when is this person going to shut up? When are they going to actually ask me a question? Clearly, this person is so self-absorbed, I want nothing to do with them. And the first date ends right there. There's no second date, let's put it that way. But if you think about some of the best dates that you've been on, going back to those days, or if you're still in them here as a listener, what was it about the date that made it special? I guarantee you, one of the common denominators, and maybe there was a few reasons, but one of those common denominators might have been that you got to, in a very relaxed way, talk and be yourself. You got to talk about yourself. So what you need to do is, instead of you doing all the talking, turn it around and let them do all the talking, because people feel better and more comfortable if they can just talk and get going. So don't make it all about you, make it all about them. Ask questions, be curious, be present, be sincere. Don't sell them anything, just listen. And I promise you, the dynamic and the conversation will start and end in a way that's going to leave far more of an impression than any of the other interactions that they may have at that networking event. The next thing that you want to do while being present with these people and as you're asking them questions and getting to know them and letting them talk is to listen and ask yourself, as you're taking in this conversation and hearing this person speak, what is it that I could do to help this person? Is there a connection I can make for this person, or a certain intro that they said something and I know I have someone that could actually help them out with that one thing that they were talking about or their challenge they're facing? Is there a service that I have that, without selling myself or making it cheesy, to where I could actually introduce it to them and say, actually, I have something, or I do something that helps that, and maybe I could share it with you, or perhaps I can email you some information on it. Never make a hard sell there, but again, you are being in service to others. Because if you go into an event being sincere, taking your jacket off, listening really well, not making it about you, but all about them, and then in your takeaways from those conversations, figuring out what it is that you can do to actually help this person out, you are going to be thought of as the greatest networker ever. People will look at you differently. You will make a huge impact or an impression on that person because you didn't come asking and wanting to take, you actually came giving. And that is a huge mark of, one, a person that is magnetic and others want to connect with, and people will always be drawn to this type of a personality, but also someone who is just worth knowing. The last bit of advice I'll give you before we get into the framework, guys, is to get better with names. We all shake hands with people, and then when you're leaving or you're saying goodbye at the end of that interaction, you'll say, what was your name again? Remind me one more time, or say your name for me one more time. So what I do to help with this, and it's not a perfect system, but it helps me because I meet lots of people, I have lots of conversations in a day, and sometimes I just get tired. So I understand, it's every human being, is to say their name at least 3 times during that interaction. So you shake hands with them, hey, Brian, it's great to meet you. What do you do, Brian? Or who are you here with? Okay. That counts as maybe just once because I said it so close. As you're following up in that conversation, like, Brian, that's amazing. Like, that's so great. Like, what an accomplishment. Or, I mean, you're quickly on an amazing trajectory here with your company. Like, you should be really proud of that. And then, of course, at the end, saying it one more time. It was great meeting you, Brian. I look forward to connecting again. And I really enjoyed our quick conversation here. Be sincere, but say their name 3 times at least in that conversation, and it will stick in your brain. Sounds silly, but it works. And you won't leave that conversation wondering, who was that? Now, here's the important framework, guys, of what you're gonna do to actually maximize. Now, guys, we covered how you wanna carry yourself when you're at the event or the happy hour or the networking luncheon. And here's the framework you're gonna do when you leave. Now, some of us still collect business cards. We swap business cards, or we grab a business card and we come home with them and we have them in our pockets. Now, the mistake that I used to make was I would take all these cards, and there might be a stack of them because I exchanged contact information and shook hands with a lot of people, is I'll put that down on a table and it'll stay there. Or it'll be on my desk and it'll stay in the corner there for probably a few days because it takes me a while to kind of come back around to it. Now, I personally don't exchange business cards. I collect them because people still have them. But for me, I just give my Instagram information out because that's my digital business card. They can learn about me, they get to connect, and we're already in contact because of the DM feature. And that's why I love using Instagram for high-level networking. But when you collect those cards, you're going to get home, and before you go to bed, and hopefully you haven't had too much to drink from that happy hour, and you're going to divide all the cards and the contacts you made. Maybe it was just on Instagram, maybe it's a combination of Instagram and business cards, or it's all business cards. You're gonna put people into 3 buckets, and this is the ops framework. The first bucket you're going to put people into is if this was an immediate opportunity. And that's what O stands for, opportunity. Now, what I'm talking about is perhaps you were collaborating with someone or talking with them and there's an instant opportunity to do something. They might have enjoyed what you were saying and they found out that you are a speaker, or you're someone who conducts workshops and they say, look, I would love to get you into my office and have you talk to my entire sales team. Or we would love to have you on this webinar that we're doing in a month. Or we'd love to have you speak at our event that's coming up and it's our sales summit next year. That is an opportunity. You do not want to let 24 hours even go by. I remember in swingers, and you guys know the rule that there was like the 3-day rule when it came to getting someone's phone number, and you don't call them right away because you don't want to be that stalker or you don't want to act like you're too interested. None of those games apply in business. You want to show clear intent, sincerity, and that you value this connection and that you want to actually do something with it and execute on it. And people love that kind of speed. So if someone falls into the opportunity camp, put them in that bucket and you are going to email them that evening, letting them know that it was great to meet with them and that you want to set up a follow-up to discuss this further and give them your calendar link. I also go and intentionally find those people on LinkedIn to make sure that we're connected on all fronts. I want to stay in this person's orbit and I also want them in mind. The next bucket that you could put a business card into, which is what P stands for, is prospects. Maybe there's the prospect of this person turning into an opportunity, or they're going to fall into the last bucket, which S stands for, and that is stay in touch. And I know there's some curiosity here, so let's find out. So with those people, I'll let them know immediately. It was great meeting you. I look forward to getting to know you more. Let's hop on a Zoom and find some ways in which we can collaborate. Again, I'm not 100% sure that this person could turn into an immediate opportunity, but I also know that it's not like I just met a nuclear scientist and he's really smart, but we're probably not going to collaborate together. So let's find that out and get something scheduled, or at least start a dialogue to get something put on the books in the future so that we can figure that out and make that determination. Then finally, guys, the last bucket is stay in touch. Again, going back to my nuclear scientist, I work in mortgage, in real estate, and in media, and in the public speaking arena. I might meet a nuclear physicist who is trying to figure out how we're going to destroy all these atoms that are coming at the planet Earth in the next 10 or 15 years. Or maybe he's a huge climate alarmist and he's very fascinated by global warming. These are important topics. They're just not in my wheelhouse right now or anything that's keeping me up at night. And I'm pretty certain that it's not going to turn into an immediate opportunity. So what I will do is I will send them an email saying it was great meeting them and I look forward to keeping in touch. Notice, I'm not wasting time to try and get on a Zoom so that I can somehow stay busy and get to know this person more. And if you want to get to know that person more, they belong in the P bucket. Okay, that's a prospect because you're not quite sure which direction they go. But if you are for sure, we kind of want to just stay friends, or you want to friend zone them, if you will, leave them in that stay in touch bucket. Find them on LinkedIn, of course, stay connected with them and send that sincere email letting them know that it was great to know them. Look, if you do this, guys, to close out a networking opportunity every time, and again, do it the same night. Do not wait till the following morning because life gets in the way, we get busy, or you just forget, and you don't want too much time to go by. You want to show that the connection really mattered to you, and depending on what category they fall into, maybe there's some real serious follow-up that needs to happen because you see a green light and you want to make something happen, or you want to explore more, or you're pretty sure that this is just going to be someone you keep in touch with. Establish that right away. Let them know that you sincerely enjoyed meeting them. And I promise you, one, you're going to leave a huge impression on people because 90% of people out there attend networking events, happy hours, or group gatherings and don't even do any of this. But you'll also squeeze the value out of what it is. There's no such thing as wasted time, guys. There's only wasted effort in my book. You can go to an event and show up and there might be 5 people and think, well, this sucks. There's only 5 people here. Well, those 5 people are going to fall into one of these 3 buckets or kind of a mix of them, or a mix of all 3. And you need to determine that. And one of them could be an actual life-altering or business-changing interaction. So don't ever think that you're too big for any event. Anything you go into, if you're sincere, remember those frameworks and those energies to come into the event with that I gave you here at the beginning of the episode, and apply an application model of one of these 3 buckets for every single person you come in contact with, you will get more out of every networking opportunity. You'll find ways to squeeze value. You'll be a much more sincere connector. You'll create more authentic relationships. And I promise it'll do wonders, not just for your career, but just on a human level. People will look at you differently and they really value this kind of genuine connection. I hope you guys found this episode helpful. Again, this has changed my entire business approach and helped make me far more effective in rooms, whether there's 5 people in there or 500. Make the absolute most of it. Put your best foot forward. Be a real human and go into it with that LFG networking style. I'll see you guys on the next episode.